So we're going to start tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If the candidates for County Commissioner with the seat starting January 2nd, 2017 want to step forward, and we'll begin with Daniel Claypool.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for being here tonight and sponsoring this event. It's always a very nice event. But my name is Dan Claypool, and I'm one of your county commissioners. I'm currently serving as the president of the Board of County Commissioners. I'm a lifelong resident of Ashtabula County, live in Lennox Township with my wife Sandy. I started my political career as a township trustee, served 3 terms. My public career, I worked as a deputy sheriff, I worked in computers, and was the IT director for the county. But my experience with the sheriff's office taught me how important basic services are to the people of our county. When I became a county commissioner, one of the things that we chose to do was fiscal responsibility. And I'm proud to say that every year that I've been a county commissioner, we've balanced our budget. We've seen business expansion in all 4 corners of our county. And now we're seeing unemployment at the lowest level than what we've had in years. A new job report came out, and they're really good numbers for Ashtabula County. Our economic output grew. In 2009, it was $2.9 billion, and in 2015, it's $3.6 billion. Ashtabula County workers, they earned over $1 billion in wages in 2015, and now there's 7,100 manufacturing jobs in our county. And that number's grown over 200 jobs since 2014. Healthcare has grown in our county. Over 1,200 jobs, new jobs, bringing a total of over 5,400 healthcare jobs to our county. Tourism grew. In 2011, it brought in $381 million to our county, and that is a huge number. But in 2015, we grew to $435 million. Wages grew from $62 million to $70 million, and jobs itself grew from 3,100 to 3,400 in tourism. So I believe the strategies that we put forth and the seeds that we planted are beginning to take off. I think we're on the right track. Are we done? We're far from being done. Our unemployment numbers are at 5%, so that means 5% of our workers aren't working. But we're working hard every day to train those workers, remove any barriers that they might have from the workforce, and get them successfully employed. That's our goal in economic development. So thank you.
Thank you. J.P. Ducro.
Oops.
My name is J.P. Ducro. I am a 5th-generation business owner here in Ashtabula County. Very proud of that. I've lived my entire life here in Ashtabula. The last 5 years I've been serving as the president of Ashtabula City Council. I was elected to my 2nd term as council president back in November. I would like to have the opportunity to take the progress that we've made in the city of Ashtabula and the increased collaboration and cooperation that we've had to have our city working more harmoniously together and bring that down to the county and expand on what we've been able to accomplish. I chose to run for this office primarily because of my children. I have 3 young daughters that are 10, 9, and 6, and I want to see Ashtabula County be a place that is very hard for them to decide to move away from or to raise their families or to have a career. They're really what motivates me. I don't have any agenda other than to try to improve our county for our community. I'm proud of the record that we've had in Ashtabula City over the last 5 years, and I'd like to expand that further. We've worked on things to incentivize job creation with helping to provide some incentives for ChromaFlow to expand their program through legislation and actually decide to locate their world headquarters in Ashtabula. So we're very, very grateful for that. We have many, many wonderful assets here in Ashtabula County, and one of you know, the things that's been discouraging for me is it just doesn't seem that Ashtabula County has moved forward as quickly in our recovery as the rest of the state of Ohio has. I'd like to be a part of making that difference. I'm not a person that chooses to point fingers or cast blame. If I'd like to see something different, I'd like to be involved in being a part of that solution personally. So that is one of the things that you know, I would like to be involved with. Some of the leadership positions that I've held in Ashtabula, we are the chairman of our finance committee in the city of Ashtabula. As a lifelong business owner and operator in Ashtabula, one of the things that I think is very important is treating our municipal governments like a business. I think that education for me has been very beneficial, and I'd like to take some of those things that I've learned not only as a business owner and operator, but also as the council president, and bring those things down to Ashtabula County and benefit the community as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Willis Clay.
Yeah, my name is Willis Clay. I've probably done nothing at all to attract you to vote for me. But I'm here because I've been protesting for a number of years. My protest basically is we need to do more in county to help our residents get jobs. We need to cut out a lot of this stuff that we're doing that is cosmetic and makes the county look good. We got to give people drinking water. We got to get the sewage out of the ditch. When you talk about attracting businesses, the very first thing a business wants to know, do I have a good water supply? What about my sewage? Those are the basic fundamentals of life, let alone a business starting in Ashtabula County. This has not only been neglected or slowed down by the present administration, this has been taking place for 100 years. We've never put into the things that we need to put into at a time when they were cheaper to do, less costly. Now we're lagging so far behind other counties in our infrastructure that we can't compete to draw jobs inside the county. Dan mentioned that there's a 5% unemployment. That's true. But when you're losing population, those people are moving out or people are unemployed. So naturally, you're going to have a lower unemployment rate. We're losing residents yearly. We're losing our overall number of jobs. If you count the overall number of jobs there were when Dan and I, or when I ran against Peggy 4 years ago, you're probably looking at more than 2,000 less jobs. Because according to Growth Partnership, we're losing the average of 500 jobs a year on the overall number. So don't be confused or don't be misled by a 5% unemployment rate. That's false. I'm not false, but it's misleading. I'd like to see a housing program, new house program started in the county that gives new builders, young couples or whoever, tax incentives to build a new home, buy products within the county to build their homes, increase our sales tax revenue. Someday when all these tax incentives are over with, then we come back and we get the harvest out of that. Thank you.
Thank you. First question from the audience. Do you have a plan to counteract the drug problems in Ashtabula County? Please be specific. Mr. Claypool.
I'm sorry, Dan.
The county does work every single day on countering this drug problem in Ashtabula County. We have a number of programs. Our mental health board spends over $6 million a year on treating individuals with mental health and/or drug problems. The county has a drug court, one of the only drug courts around that I'm aware of in here, and now we've just started a juvenile drug court. And it allows those individuals to come in who have been charged with drugs. They work with that individual, and at the end of the day, if they're able to graduate from there, they actually get those charges dismissed, and hopefully they become productive members of society. This drug problem was probably the worst epidemic that I have ever seen, and even in 20 years of law enforcement, I've just never seen that. And we're doing everything that we can We are spending all the resources that we can possibly muster to get our arms around that problem. And our safety forces right now, our sheriff's department budget, our court budget, our probation budgets, they're just exploding because of that problem. So yes, we are working with all the particular agencies in the county, trying to corral, get our arms around that. We are working with workforce development, trying to get these individuals trained for jobs where they can work and be productive members of the county.
Thank you. Mr. Ducro.
Well, our drug and crime problem is not just a drug and crime problem. It's an economic development problem. The burden that it creates on our tax base, on our social services, on our businesses that are experiencing theft, on the loss of work for their employees, or having the ability to find employees that can pass drug tests. It affects things in so many ways. I think one of the tremendous roles of the County Commissioner's Office is that of facilitation and collaboration. I think one of the things that I would like to see done is reaching out to the ministerial associations in the county, the faith-based community. We know that statistics have proven one of the very leading successors of people that are able to overcome addiction is if they have a faith-based component through a program like AA. And we really have a gap that's not filled from when people that are trying to come off of drugs, or they're getting out of jail and they've been involved with drugs, to a transitional type of environment before they go back on the street and become reoffenders if they're going back in the same environment that they've been at. So I would like to see an effort at finding people that are being released and have had drug problems in the past, a safe environment where they can stay clean, maybe get job training, get a GED, and have some collaboration effort that might be funded through private funding, through the faith-based community, with volunteer efforts, and I think that would be something that could help improve that situation.
Mr. Clay.
This question was asked a few weeks ago, and I'll answer it basically the same as I did then. We're sending missed messages to the kids today. We're telling them, okay, you shouldn't do this. It's wrong. It's bad. Then we try to put it on a ballot that we pass marijuana. Let's get it legalized. I see that a lot of you people must be parents at one time or other. And you know the rebellion of your teenagers. You say no, they're going to do what they're going to do anyway. We say that the first offenders should have a break. The first offenders is where you should come down the hardest with the most information. You stop that at an early stage before it gets to be a habit of marijuana that goes into cocaine and heroin. So there's no pat on the back as far as I'm concerned. Let's do the enforcement on the drug offenders as soon as possible and try to get them.
Thank you. What can the commissioners do to help local farmers, especially new and young farmers? Mr. Ducro.
Well,
I'm sorry.
it's okay, thank you. Well, I think that the 4-H program is a wonderful program, and that has to continue to be developed and fostered. We have to do things to make it as economically feasible for the farmers in our community to continue to be successful and prosper. We have to be cautious with with how they're handled with their tax base, incentivizing them for being able to create new jobs. I would love to see a program where we could get some of our people that are involved in this inner city drug and crime problem, where they might be able to get down on a farm and be away from, again, the elements that are tempting them to reoffend and experience what it is to have the work ethic of what it takes to be a successful person on a farm. There's no question that the work ethic, that the just the word that I'm looking for.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Mr. Clay.
Well, I had a conversation a couple weeks ago with a corn grower down south, and he says, you know, as people that grow corn and beans, we don't get as much attention as the wineries and the vineyards and so on and so forth. He asked me, he said, what can I do? Well, it's a complex problem, but I really kind of stunned me at the question he asked, so I told him, I said, well, if the farmers got together and they started producing ethanol for human consumption, they'd get a lot of attention from the state, the federal government, and local people, you know. But of course, that was a joke. A few years ago, I tried to start or suggested a program that any farmer that would clean up farmland that was grown 20 years or more and cleaned it up and produced that farmland would get a tax break on that particular acreage. Two reasons for that. We're having a lot of our acreage ate up by nonprofit organizations that puts it in non-productive stage, and they pay no taxes on it in that stage.
Thank you. Mr. Claypool.
I think one of the things that we really have to do, because agriculture is so important to us, is to make and do everything we can with our farm community to make that a viable profession. Right now, milk is selling for less than what it costs to produce. Soybeans and corn are way down right now, so it actually costs more to produce that crop than it actually does at harvest. One of the things that county commissioners have done, and we've worked with some local agencies, is to work with these value-added agricultural agencies. You see new startup businesses. You see Nate Bissell with the bourbon, the maple syrup, and that we have worked with Alaterra. That's something that we're really sort of proud of. We've taken where it was just really just talking about in Jim Comp's farm, and we've taken this miscanthus grass, and they have planted 4,000 acres. The commissioners have taken and worked with our Port Authority, and we have used the old ESOP building in Ashtabula, retrofitted that, and right now Alaterra is there producing these fast food trays, selling 100% of their product. We went to Andover, we took the old Andover Industries building, we retrofitted that, and now Alaterra is working in there, and they're using it for storage, and they're grinding that, and they're making an oil absorbent. So we need to continue to create opportunities for our farm community, and value-added crops, I think, are the way to do that.
Thank you. Where do you see the future developments coming from for our county? Mr. Clay.
Well, as I said before, I first think we should start within the county. The program that I was talking about on building new houses, okay, that goes far beyond just the landowner. The actual contractor can be included in that. If he wants to start a development for houses for sale, that he would get the credit for the period of time until that house is sold. If we want to draw businesses into the county, what's the difference if we draw businesses into the county as opposed to drawing individuals into the county that want to live here? They may work in Lake County, Geauga, wherever. If they bring their money here and spend it, we're going to prosper. We're going to be able to use that money to do our infrastructure, pay for law enforcement, pay for the judges, pay for all the other necessities that the county has. But our sales tax now, especially with Kmart moving out, is down. It's going to be down more next year. We're going to have to salvage this.
Mr. Claypool.
I think business development is within our own borders. We always talk about going out and finding new business and bringing new business in. But one of the strategies the commissioners through our economic development plan was to create a business service representative. And what that individual does is work with local businesses. They go out and they visit local businesses. They identify challenges that business is having, either in workforce or in regulations or in any other thing that might prohibit them from growing. And that person comes back, finds the resource, breaks down those barriers, and allows them to expand. That's why I think that you see a lot of expansion going on. King Luminaire was a prime example of it. You have expansion going on in Orwell. We had a huge, huge $65 million expansion at Crystal. We had a huge expansion in Conneaut with Conneaut Aluminum. So I really believe, rather than go out and chase new businesses, the real opportunity lies in expanding businesses that are already here. Now, we see expansion in our interstates going on right now because there's infrastructure. And I think that's what drives that development. So you see hotels that are going to go up in Austinburg. You see hotels that are going to go up in Geneva. And I think the key to that, and Harpersfield Township has taken the lead on that, is land use planning. Knowing what's going to be there and plan for that future so it doesn't ruin the environment that is already there.
Mr. Ducro.
I agree with both Mr. Clay and Mr. Claypool. I think that the making Ashtabula County a destination to expand residential development here is very important, and I think that we have all the resources to make Ashtabula County a place that people should really want to live. I also believe that the expansion of the current businesses, as we see them growing, another example is molded fiberglass, which is certainly in a growing mode. I think a big challenge for them is to these companies is finding the workforce that they need, and I would like to concentrate on trying to make sure that the educational facilities partner up with a lot of these businesses to create the training for the jobs that they have available, and so that the people that need the employment or want the employment in the community have the skills available to them to go out and fill those jobs. One other thing that I think is an opportunity for development that wasn't mentioned is the fact that we have Lake Erie. The Plant C down there has a capacity to take in a tremendous amount more water, and there are many companies out there around the country that probably use water in their manufacturing process, and as long as we can do it clean and safely, I think recruiting companies from the outside that really could use Lake Erie as a resource would be an opportunity for Ashtabula County.
Thank you. There is a lot of conversation about building a new county jail. Outline your position on how this will be implemented. Mr. Claypool.
There is a lot of conversation going on about our county jail. Our county jail was built in the late 70s. It's old. It wasn't built for the 2016 era. It was built to house 105 inmates. It has now at times over 150 inmates all the time. So there is a challenge there. But there are a lot of other questions. There are more questions about building a new county jail than there are answers right now. And that's why the Board of County Commissioners charged our Community Correction Board, which is made up of law enforcement, the courts, the mental health, social services, and all the other agencies together to come up with a comprehensive recommendation on how we move forward. Just to build a county jail, if people think that just building a county jail is the answer, it's not. With this drug problem today, it is different than a problem than we have ever seen. It is not criminals using drugs. We have youth using drugs. We have soccer moms using drugs. We have business people that are dying from using drugs. So this is a whole different sort of problem. I have heard people say in the conversation is, let's build a 400-bed jail. Well, that's nice. That would be really nice. Lake County's looking at a 400-bed jail at $60 million. So to build that infrastructure would be fine, but then I question, where are you going to find the money to operate it? Where are you going to find the money to operate it? And then what comes after that? We really need to stop and find a comprehensive answer on how we're going to move forward and what situation best helps us solve these problems and deal with these problems as we go down the road. And I think the best answer is inclusion and not exclusion. You know, just by moving the county jail, and I've heard a lot about that, you throw the whole economic situation off in Jefferson Village. Just by moving it 2 blocks, you move the downtown, because there's a number of people that would go with that county jail. So there are a lot of different things that I think that we need to deal with. I think that...
Thank you.
I had 30 seconds left, but go ahead.
I didn't think they had...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, I just think that rather than rush into this and say we need a new county jail, I realize we need something there. We need to renovate the building that's in there, or we need a new building. But I think it's better off to have this large group give a comprehensive answer than just a short-term infrastructure answer.
Mr. Ducro.
Just a quick question, because I've noticed the same thing, that she's holding 60 and 30 seconds, and sometimes you're saying stop before a stop sign comes up. So
Okay.
I don't know what the
Yeah,
cue, I'm not
it's-
sure if the cue's from you or if the cue's from them. So I don't want to be disrespectful.
Okay.
Shows up 60 seconds and you say thank you.
So,
It's 1 minute response time, so you only need the 30-second and the stop.
all right, thank you. Sorry about that.
You're
Ms.
welcome.
Hansman.
We got it clear. Thanks.
Okay, so my stance on the jail. First of all, I am not in favor of just repairing the jail back to the state that is in. I think that would be very short-sighted, and we know that the jail as it stands right now is not able to handle the problems that we have. I think that it's unfortunate that the jail has gotten to the condition that it's in. I believe that there has been some neglect of maintenance of that facility, and that also is one of the reasons that the expense of where we are now is sort of a critical nature for us. Whatever the jail looks like in the future, it has to include a rehabilitation component, because that's where a lot of the resources are out there from government grant money to help fund those type of programs. That's the wave of the future. I also believe that if we're going to be creating a brand new centralized dispatching center, that should be a part of the comprehensive plan to put the jail in place, and that should all be housed in one facility instead of having two brand new facilities that are going to have to be maintained and staffed.
Mr. Clay.
Well, there's nothing left to be said, really. I mean, both are right. We need more housing for the criminal element. You know, it's a shame right now that, you know, you have to schedule, just like you made a reservation for the judges to put somebody in jail to serve a sentence. So it is a problem of enforcement. There's no repercussions for a lot of the lawbreakers, because they know, well, they're going to plea it down to a point to where I can live with it and turn right around and go out and do it again. So we do need more facilities. I have no idea to tell you how we're going to pay for it. Nor
Okay,
does
that's-
anybody else. Thank you.
That's the next question, and we'll let you answer that, Mr. Clay. A follow-up question on how will this be paid for, plus the cost to maintain, and how it's going to work. That's what they're asking. So it's kind of a follow-up question.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
Just pay for it, Mr. Clay.
how will you pay for it? Yeah, I'll take the interest, you know. We just got through getting a grant for $7 million for an airport expansion that probably we don't need for 20 years. So I know we couldn't use that money, but if we can get $7 million grant for an airport expansion, surely we can get some kind of grant to start the project out, you know, for a jail. So grants is going to have to be a big part of it. The revenues the county collects in around $21 million a year. There's not a whole lot of that can go toward a jail. A bonding issue, possibly. That's the only thing I can think of right offhand. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dufro.
That is going to be a very challenging community issue. And that's why I think this Community Corrections Board will play a significant role in that. You know, the community is going to have to give their input. I think it's going to be a challenge to expect this to go on property taxes. I think people are about property taxed out in the county, especially for something of that magnitude. Once it's constructed, or that new jail facility, I think having the rehabilitation component available for inpatient, not just prisoners, for treatment, that might be able to be somewhat funded with private insurance, or whether it's Medicare, Medicaid. I also think the prison having some component of bringing in federal inmates to help defer the cost of the operation of the jail. That certainly is worked in other communities, and we have used at the county level at some point before. So there's a sales tax possibility, a sales tax increase. I just think we have to see what any of these things would look like to come up with the figure that we're going to need to fund this. And of course, as Mr. Claypool said, it's not just about building it, it's about staffing it after it's constructed.
Thank you. Mr. Claypool.
Well, I think that's the large question, and the answer is the people of this county are going to decide how we move forward. I mean, if we talk about any increased revenue or anything like that, but that's not really the problem. We have to get our arms around this problem to begin with, because we talk about grants and we talk about all these other things, and we work very closely with our state representative. But one of the reasons this jail is full is because the state has pushed their inmates from the penal institutions to a county jail. I mean, we never were allowed to hold anybody over 1 year, and now we hold them 2 years. So they created what they call a 5th-degree felony to empty the prisons and bring to the county jail. We talk about a rehabilitation center. County jails are not rehabilitation centers. They are holding facilities. They are not set up to rehabilitate people. And I can't imagine the cost. I just can't imagine the cost if we got into a medical facility where the county would now treat these individuals and be responsible for that. I mean, it is an endless, endless road that you would go down. But from my perspective, the people will choose the route that we'll go.
Thank you. Candidates for County Commissioner: Willis Clay, J.P. Ducro, and Dan Claypool. Thank you, gentlemen.